There have been many wild and unconventional trades on WallStreetBets on Reddit, but here are a few that you may have not heard of. A Reddit member going by the username WSBGod claims to have made millions of dollars in unrealized gains from option positions linked to Tesla stock. A $126,000 investment was worth $4.3 million at the time of the user's Tuesday screenshot and carried a value of roughly $4 million by the session's close. Call options grant investors the right to purchase an underlying asset for a specific price by a certain date, and let's just say there can be a lot of money made. The contract's prices tend to move with greater volatility than the stocks they track, as a single contract gives a holder the right to buy 100 shares at a specified price by expiration date, but the user doesn't have to own 100 shares. A call option functions in the same way and gives the user leverage by only putting up a small amount of capital. This is one of the riskiest ways that people are using options to play the stock market. The play was risky to say the least and downright crazy if you ask any normal trader with experience. It doesn't help that the user's screenshot showed an unrealized gain of $4,334,000 on Tuesday when each call was worth $100. By the end of the trading session, the calls were worth 95 or about $4 million. The lucrative Tesla bet isn't the first for WSBGod. The same user previously said they used their Roth IRA, which is a tax-advantaged account, to buy 15 Tesla call contracts in April, betting the electric vehicle stock to hit $450 by January 15, 2021. WSBGod purchased 32 identical contracts 4 months later. The $46,491 investment was worth nearly $1.4 million, according to a Tuesday screenshot, though it's unclear whether the trader sold any of the longer dated calls. Perhaps the craziest part is you would assume someone who made millions to close the position, right? However, it seems as though the user had more fun showing off his unrealized gains rather than realizing them. We all know how that can end, but looks like this one did end in profits. But this unrealized profit doesn't really compare to the second craziest WallStreetBets trade. Apparently, this guy didn't get the memo that we're in a recession. I mean, when you see a Porsche driving for Domino's, it's clearly a recession, right? Well, Reddit user by the name of Crypto Finder with 2 R's decided it would be a good idea to buy one more share of Triple BY and take out a $50,000 loan if it gets 5,000 upvotes. Well, he ended up receiving over 80,000 votes. The first comment being proof or ban within 48 hours. Mods. Another Reddit user by the name of Wolf of Losses, the name checks out, right? Decided to go all in on GameStop by buying literally hundreds of calls before earnings. Well, the results speak for themselves. What's crazy about the trade is that buying options is a losing bet most of the time, 7 out of 10 times to be exact. The reason is simple. When buying an option, you have to be right about the direction, the expiration date, and also overcome the initial cost to get in, which is no easy task. The fact that this guy was able to do this on not 1, not 2, but 3 different expiration dates, and along with also just buying and holding the stock itself, is amazing. It's unclear if he actually closed the trade or not and how much of his portfolio was put towards this bet, but apparently he didn't care about the risks since he was flaunting his wins like he was some type of genius or something. True geniuses know that you can easily lose all of your money on earnings plays like this. But who knows, maybe this guy had some insider information. I guess this guy, like the other, has the YOLO mentality. Or he might have an inside scoop. Who knows, it's probably the first one. So yeah, let's just go with YOLO. Speaking of YOLO, check out another all-in play for a trader with quite the bearish sentiment. Now this one has actually blown my mind because I've never seen anyone short a stock and actually make money on it. I mean, we all know what ended up happening with the hedge funds shorting GameStop, right? User GEY Artist bought hundreds of puts on Apple, Nvidia, and the S&P 500 index and put the last guy to shame. Unlike the GameStop trade, this dude felt there was more room for downside rather than up and took action accordingly. This guy's gamble resulted in over $170,145 of profit. If you're going to be sure about a direction for any given stock or ETF, this would be the right approach, taken to the extreme. In this case, this guy was betting that 3 different equities, 2 stocks, and 1 ETF were going to go down enough to be able to overcome the initial cost of purchase and then some. And oh boy, was he right. He was able to correctly guess not only the direction, but also the timing to where all 3 equities were in the money around the time of purchase in mid-March. Talk about balls and luck. I guess he shares Jerome Powell's sentiment about what it would take to reach the Fed's goal of around 2% inflation, which we're nowhere near of course. Although buying puts is very risky, it clearly paid off. Since Jerome Powell can be crazy in his statement and decisions, this user made a big crazy bet on a crazy Federal Reserve and got the same payoff as essentially hitting a lottery. His Apple trade made $57,000, which is basically a whole year's salary for many Americans. When discussing the potential risks of engaging in high-risk trading strategies, such as the infamous "you only live once" YOLO trade, it is important to consider the case of DBO 199523 and their recent 0 days to expiration trade on the latest FOMC meeting day, which centered around the Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell's determination to curb inflation by raising interest rates by 25 basis points. Another YOLO trader. Are we surprised at this point? Despite the fact that this particular trade did not yield as high of a profit as some other examples, it's important to note that the potential risk involved was just as great. By placing a significant amount of their trading account on the belief that the markets would react negatively to Powell's decision, user DBO199523 essentially made a bet on the future performance of the SPY, hoping to capitalize on a drop in value. It is worth noting that the decision to engage in such a high-risk strategy requires a deep understanding of the markets, as well as an ability to accurately predict their behavior. And last time I checked, almost no one can predict the behavior. Not Warren Buffett, not millionaires, except, of course, some WallStreetBet users. In the case of DBO's demonstrations in a willingness to take a bold stance, betting against the prevailing sentiment of the market and banking on their own analysis of the situation was insane, but actually ended up being a genius move. While it remains to be seen whether or not this particular trade was ultimately closed for a profit or proven to be a successful close, it serves as a powerful reminder of the potential risks involved in high-risk trading strategies, as well as the need for careful consideration and analysis before making a significant investment decision. But it seems that this play had over a $100,000 reward. Ultimately, the key to success in the world of trading lies in a deep understanding of the market, as well as a willingness to take calculated risks. According to him, he bought $40,000 worth of SPY 395 puts at exactly 2:30 p.m. when the meeting started, when it was trading at $400.50. Even though it went back up after 20 minutes and hit 402, he held until the last few minutes of the day and came out with over $111,000 profit in just under a few hours. Now that's diamond hands. What's crazy about this is that he traded one of the most volatile events that has graced the markets as of late, FOMC, or Federal Open Market Committee days. With the Fed and the interest rates being the talk of the town for quite some time now, it's no wonder markets have swung so much in either direction whenever Jerome Powell speaks. As a matter of fact, markets usually swing an average of around 2% in either direction after Jay Powell makes his latest remarks. And that's not even counting when he makes remarks at unofficial events, where him even sneezing could put the market in a tizzy. Now keep in mind that when the market moves 2%, an option contract can easily move 10% or more. According to the numbers, it looks like this user has bet most of his account on this trade, which is a no-no for proper trading management, where you should never bet almost, if not everything, on just one position. Needless to say, this worked out for him big time, even though it took nerves of steel for him to realize his monster gain. Hey, maybe he could teach Powell a thing or two of how to get more liquidity, since he'll need all that he can get with the way he's going. Let me know in the comment section below, what's the craziest trade you've ever heard of?